Everybody has a story, but not everybody tells the truth about it. This is the Untold Truth, a space where we talk about the things people avoid: trauma, pressure, pain, healing, and growth. The real conversations behind the highlight reels. Because healing doesn't start with pretending, it starts with honesty. And when you're ready to speak, your truth deserves to be heard. Welcome back to the Untold Truth. I'm your host, Joshua Brinkley, and today I have Kofi Thompson with me. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing absolutely amazing. I am, I remember as we were like talking, about this show, months ago, and you're putting together, and I was like, man, like you are someone that I believe has so much depth to who you are, and now you're putting yourself on a platform, and I was like, yo, this is gonna be lit.
So you doing?
Yeah. And when he asked you to come, like, yo, as a guest speaker, I was like, yo, this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
So, man, I'm doing very well. I'm excited to be here with one of my very good friends.
Oh, man.
Here doing great things, being able to speak to a public and share our stories. So yeah, man, it's an awesome day. Awesome day to be alive. Awesome day to be striving towards greatness.
Greatness, for sure. And I appreciate you being here. I do remember that conversation, and you're here now. So again, thanks for being here in the flesh. So you know how we always start with the bio. Kofi Thompson is a financial planner who works with first-generation wealth creators and business owners, helping them build clarity and generational impact through strategic wealth planning. Growing up in Section 8 housing, he witnessed firsthand the financial trauma his parents endured and the lasting effects it had on their family. In his early 20s, after losing his father to cancer, Kofi reached a life-altering realization. No family should inherit debt instead of a legacy. That moment became the foundation of his purpose. Today, drawn from his experience advising young families and high-income earners at a Fortune 20 company, and his expertise as a retirement income certified professional, Kofi has built a client-centered firm focused on long-term impact and generational wealth. Beyond finance, Kofi is a competitive powerlifter holding a Virginia State deadlift record, a yogi, and an avid reader, and an endurance cyclist who completed a 600-mile ride across Australia from Brisbane to Sydney. At his core, Kofi is a lifelong learner committed to growth, discipline, and helping others rewrite their financial narratives. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
When I read that bio, I'm like, wait, he did what?
Yeah, it feels kind of crazy hearing about it,
Yeah.
man. It's I find life to be amazing because it's like we oftentimes things that start with like some idea we have in our mind, right? Or, an opportunity that we're, called on to,
For sure.
take advantage of. And, these things, they happen subtly. And I believe like life is kind of made up of all these smaller moments that, accumulate and like,
Yeah.
yeah, in the midst of like, when I was training for that record, while I was going to Australia, while I was working my company before I started my firm, or you just growing up, like I never really thought all of this would kind of accumulate. And I feel like still like I'm just getting started, but hearing it all of it kind of together, yeah, it sounds kind of cool.
It is kind
Yeah,
of cool,
yeah,
I mean, again, this is the reason why we're doing this. It's not just about encouraging others; it's about uplifting yourself too. Because when you think about when you really sit down and think about your past and what you've gone through to get to where you are now, as successful as you are,
Mm-hmm.
is when you really look at it, is mind blowing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the purpose why one of the purposes why we have you on the show.
I
Just share your story. So, where are you from, Kopi, and what part of town?
So I was born in Schenectady, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Moved down to Northern Virginia when I was like around 6 years old. Uh, grew up in Reston, Virginia from 6 to about uh 19, 20 is what I ended up moving. About 19 is where I moved out of my house. Came down to Richmond, Virginia. I've been in Richmond for last, it's going on like 12 years now. It's pretty wild to think about. Yeah, about 12 years now. Yeah. So yeah.
You like it there still?
You know, it's grown on me. It's grown on me. I would say that I have never been the type of person that's really been, as much focused on my exterior. That's like, it's really been like a constant theme in my life. And, so I was always focused on like, okay, what am I doing? Like, what, skills am I building? Where am I putting my time, my focus?
Real.
What things are within my internal locus of control that I'm putting my energy into. So, uh, long answer to your question, but one first couple years in Richmond, I was like, I don't really know if I'm even stay here, to be honest. Yeah. This is a nice city, it's kind of small, but I was like, it has its pros and cons. And
Right.
then as I grew older, like I really did see myself moving into a different place to expand and change things up a bit. Um, but I just focused on my work, and I was like, okay, when I get to a place where I, decide I want to move, I'll move. And again, I never really had any ties to Richmond in particular, but as I've gotten older, I've gained some appreciation of the city. We have a lot we could offer here. You got the river here, you got the city aspect. You're right next to the mountains. I snowboard,
Yep.
doing that.
We got Virginia Beach right there.
Beach, yeah, right. So it's like there's a lot in, all in one. And you know, I got into a relationship. So it's kinda, exchange up. So
I don't think I have any questions going here about that, but we could dive into that.
so let's do it.
I had a good time meeting her. The first time I met her, and that whole event that you guys had, that was very, eye opening. You remember we had that conversation, eye opening to the type of people that is important to have around in your life
Absolutely.
as you get older.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So I want to continue to talk about your upbringing though, because as I was reading through all of your stuff, the Section 8 part of it, you grew up in Section 8 housing, right? What was that like for you as a kid? And what financial realities did you witness that most people never see?
Yeah, it sucked. No, but like real talk, it was difficult growing up because I like we one another way of shortly summing this up is scarcity, right? We didn't have a lot of resources, so I remember, one just like, being on the free lunch program, every single, year in school, right? And I remember like, I would, become friends with the lunch lady. So like that way, like, at the end of lunch, she would give me seconds so I can like take home and I knew I had something to like eat, right? So like there was always just like, this kind of like scrappy, like scarcity. Like I have to make sure that like, hey, like I'm gonna like, have something, for myself down the road. So, I do believe this, like, an empty sack, can't stand up straight, right? So, like, I didn't get into the best habits when I was younger because I didn't, have much. So, I find it to be very difficult, when you don't have a lot to try and, aspire towards more. So, one, like, it really limited what I saw for my future. Two, just like it was embarrassing. Like I had roaches in my house. Like, roaches in the cereal. Like that was a reality, bro.
Yeah.
Like I remember like it was, I mean, it was gross. Like I was like, I remember like just sitting there thinking, I'm like, you know, I think I always had like grander visions for like, my ambition, but like one of the biggest things I was like, I cannot live in a place with roaches where I don't. Yeah.
You beat this.
Yeah. So just like getting out of like that type of environment where I was like, yo, like it doesn't feel like secure or stable like where I'm at. I remember this one experience, I think I was like in like sixth or seventh grade, and we had like gotten a bug bed infestation in our place. I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with bug bags, but like they're
Bed bugs.
sorry.
Bed bugs. Yeah, no, because so our client sucks bed bugs. You don't even want to talk about it.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. That's that trolley here coming right out. Can't even see it right here. Bed bugs.
Bed bugs.
Bed bugs, and I'm like, yo, like I remember it was this infestation. Like it took forever to like get rid of them, man. Like we were in this history class, and like our history professor was talking about like the slums in like in New York, and he had brought up like bed bugs and like how like all like they had like bed bugs like in these like very low impoverished places. And I was sitting there like, shit, like we are sweating. Like, I was like, I
They talk about me.
yeah, they talking about me. I'm like, damn, I got that. Right? And I remember
That's tough too.
yo, and this the worst part, yo, I like it might be like halfway through the year, and like in one of my history textbooks, there was actually a bed bug.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right there. And he ended up like seeing it. And like the look on his face was just straight horror. And so I'm just sitting there like, oh, like, man, like, I'm just again, like, I like the feeling that you have is just like lack and scarcity. You don't have a lot.
Yeah.
So, seeing, a lot of things in life, like I really had this desire, like, yo, I want to be able to have more for myself. Like I want to be able to choose what I'm gonna eat.
Yeah.
I want to be able to, you know, get a car so I can drive places. Like it was like, you want to be able to live life.
Like yeah, no, like a normal person.
Absolutely, yeah. So, like, really just, yeah, growing up in that environment, it really created this desire in me to go out there and try and figure it out. I had no, obviously, they don't really know what you're doing. You don't know how to, actually build any type of wealth or how to increase your earning potential when you're younger. But I knew that this was a need, something I had to do.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, you got my brain going here. A lot of the things that resonate with me is, you were pretty much nothing and now you're something, right? So would you venture to say that at a young age knew that obviously you didn't know, you knew that you didn't want to experience this again or have your kids experience it, something like that. Did that propel you to, just be better, you know?
It planted the seed.
Yeah.
It planted the seed for me to get better.
Yeah.
You know, my ambition actually came from when I was like in my 20s, and I don't know if we'll probably get to there. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. So I'll talk a little about what my ambition was.
Yeah.
But it absolutely planted the seed and like got my mind like, this is not how I want to live.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is like to me. This is unacceptable.
Unnecessary, unacceptable,
Yeah.
should not be happy.
Exactly, right? And like, like I'm sitting there like I remember having like girlfriends and like I didn't bring my girlfriends back to like my place. So yeah, right. Like that's tough. Like, and I had friends, like I never brought my friends over to my place because again, I was embarrassed about like the way we lived.
Right.
And I could deal with it, but I'm just like, yo, like I want to be able to have more because like I don't I think at the end of the day, everyone should have the opportunity for more. Right?
For sure.
I do believe that you get what you work for, not what you wish for. But with that, like, just being able to have the ability to have choice in life, like I think that's one of the most important things. Especially you have the ability to have choice.
Yeah.
Um And even, on a deeper level too, just being able to care for your loved ones, like, because, on this other side, like, I do believe that we'll obviously get into wealth and finance. I do believe wealth gives choice and it gives you the ability to, go out there and make an impact. It also allows you to just take care of the people that you care about too, like on the ground, like Maslow's pyramid of hierarchy, like, base level. So, yeah, I really created that, and planting the seeds for me to realize that, like, I am going to have to strive for more. And coming from that, I'm sure we'll also dive into it. It also allowed me to be able to go through harder situations and realize, like, yo, like,
Yeah, I got you.
this ain't that bad.
It ain't that bad. Yeah,
Yeah,
right here.
yeah.
I always try to remind myself, and even Claire put it that well. I mean, obviously, Claire. This is my financial advisor, by the way. Is anybody's? So, and hers too. But anyways, um, I always remind her and myself like we can have it way worse than what it is. Whatever we may be going. I mean, obviously, we live a great life. Yeah, very successful two people, but when it comes to you know our the car needs to replace the oil or something like that.
Yeah.
Now we're all frustrated.
Exactly.
We can have it a lot worse than this.
Yep.
So it's just always stay humble. That's all it is. Yeah, especially as we get older and coming from a background that you have. To your point, I've been through worse. So what is this?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's a key point there. I like that.
Yes.
When people hear the name Kofi Thompson, what do you hope they understand about you beyond your title?
So when I hear that question, I think of identity. Like I think of like, all right, who like I am like at my core, right? Not just the title. I appreciate you asking that too, because frankly, when I look at life, I value the character of somebody so much more than like what position they hold. And it's always been like a consistent thing for me.
Yeah.
So for me, I in the way I show up, I want people to see that I am someone that is loyal. I am someone that is disciplined. I'm someone that has their best interest in heart because I truly do believe in service. Like I truly do believe in service to like our fellow man.
Yeah.
I want people to see that I am someone that is also competitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want people to see I'm someone that is inspiring and someone that has grit, resilience, and hard work.
Yeah. 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 That's that last piece there. I mean, I remember when I actually met Molly's father. One of the things that he said about you was, "I haven't met a young man that works as hard a day in my life." That's what he told me.
Wow.
And then guess what I told you? Me being me.
Yeah.
You met another one. You met another.
Like it.
So
I love it.
yeah, I remember him saying that about you, and it resonates.
Yeah.
I remember when we first started doing our meetings.
Yeah.
I was late all of 2 minutes. He on my ass though. Where you? But that type of mindset is what you're talking about. That putting forth the effort, working hard, day in and day out. You even still working on the weekends, aren't you?
Yeah. Hey, don't talk into we don't clock out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna add another thing on there. Well, one, I do believe like work we do is sacred. Like,
Yeah.
it's funny because I was actually talking to a friend yesterday about this, but when I was in my early 20s, I was working in a bike shop and teaching kid mechanics. And during that time, I remember I believe I had fixed a flat for someone, or maybe I had tuned up someone's gears. I didn't really do it, that well. And the guy, he was a mentor to me. His name was Rob Gassy, and he, sat me down. He's like, "Hey, like, whenever you do work, it's like you're an artist putting your name on the bottom of a picture.
Right.
Like you are signing your work." And he's like, "What do you want the world to see?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And that stuck with me. I was like, "Yo, you're right. I'm not gonna have the world see crap." So like, we talked earlier about how we're both they're perfectionists. It's because, we're really conscientious. We want our work to have good results. We want to if we're gonna work on something and put it out there, it needs to be good. It's like, yeah, what's the very I think to me it's such a noble value to have because a lot of people don't feel that way about their work. They're like, yo, they'd rather put in the least amount of work and get the result.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, so it really is a different mindset. And then I just want to add on one last thing there too. Lastly, I'd say I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
I love teaching people.
Yeah.
I love being able to break down something that like is a complicated term and help someone understand it because that's the way I feel empowered. And I believe it empowers others to share knowledge and share ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it takes each one to reach one to teach one.
Fact.
That's one of my favorite sayings. So, you pretty much summed that up and say teachers.
Yeah.
Teaching the next person. And, not everybody knows about finances, and we'll dig into that. But, yeah, I feel like you do a very good job of teaching that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Before the accolades, certifications, and records, who were you?
Yeah, prior to me like, going out and grinding, I'd say I was definitely an athlete. That was one way that I used to define myself. I played lacrosse, football, ran track in high school. I was always something that was really competitive. I was also someone that, wanted to like I always wanted to put a smile on someone's face. Like I had this like desire because, I think something that a lot of people would always say to me is like, man, like you're always smiling, you're always happy. And I'm like, no, I always wanted like to have good energy.
Right.
And it might have been, growing up and just, there's a lot of shit stuff going on. Because there's just lots of stuff going on. A lot of shit going on. Don't get that was just like it sucks. So
Right.
I think when I got out into the world, I was always like, yo, like it's bad. It could be worse. Let me make people smile. Let me make people feel good. So I think I always had this like aspect of me, like I want others to be doing better when they like come in contact with me. Like I believe we all have like energy that we like, that um affects the things around us. And I was always like, yo, like I want my energy to always lift people up, not bring people
Not
down.
tearing people down.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I'm the same way, and that's a very key aspect of the way to be, and it goes hand in hand with the whole encouragement of other people thing. But
yeah.
that's how I am too. I just like to be positive, man.
Yeah.
That's if you come into work, in a negative mood, whether it's work, being around friends, whatever the environment is, who wants to be a Debbie Downer?
Exactly, bro. Yeah.
So that's a key quality to have. If you are that Debbie Downer, undebbie yourself.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's powerful. It's important, and I do. Yes, we all go through a lot of things in life that like unfortunately will you don't want to be smiling about, right? But the one thing we can control ultimately is our perspective and attitude. Through circumstances. Yeah. So it's like at least if I'm gonna do this, I might as well try to do it with a smile on my face, right?
And that's what I noticed that about you. You ain't always smiling, like even up. Me and him first met up at Gojo. And I just remember he was doing freakishly different things that I've never seen before, and doing backflips and stuff. With the muscle up, and I'm over there pushing heavy weight, and one of the smaller guys in the gym, one of the biggest guys in the gym, we just so happen to that we see each other's talents.
Yes.
So
Game recognized game.
there's it's not about how big or small you are though.
Yeah.
It's about what's inside.
Facts.
Yeah, so it's very important. How did those early experiences shape your relationship with money as a child?
Yeah. So, it really it ingrained this desire to earn money, without a doubt.
Yep.
It definitely ingrained this desire to like earn money and work hard. So I remember the first I'd say like entrepreneurial experience that I ever, had was do you remember those like Live Strong bands? And how they like were real popular for like a certain point.
Yellow, right?
Yeah, they were like yellow ones, and then they like other brands like Nike, Under Armour started coming out with them. Like they were like real popular. I remember this was like I was in elementary school, like people like loved them, right? So like I ended up going to Dick's Sporting Goods and getting packs of all these different like color like Limp Strong bands, right? Each of these packs were maybe like, I don't know, $5 for like, a pack of like three or something like that. So I had probably, I don't know, 30 or 40 of these, and I brought them to school next day and I flipped them. So I sold one of those bands each for like, like $3, $4, right?
Yeah, you sounded to me like you was kind of advancing.
Yeah. I was like in third grade at the time too. Awesome. And yeah, so because I think someone came up to me and he was like, "Hey, like that's a cool band." And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'll buy it for $4," and I was like, "Dang, I got like a pack of three for or for $5." Like, absolutely, right? Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Keep doing it.
Yeah. So, I that was like I was like, man, that was the first time I ever kind of like made money. I was like, wow, this is like pretty cool. Like, I'm selling something, adding value. It again, it didn't really create this idea that y'all want to be able to do more. So one thing before finance I want to do is become a doctor. Like that was like my way of wanting to be able to, go out in the world and, bring myself up financially. But also figure out a way to like serve people as well. So another aspect of, not having finances growing up was that my parents, unfortunately, they, they had mental illnesses and they couldn't care for themselves
Right.
because we, didn't have a lot, didn't have the ability to go to therapy and that ability for, medical treatment and things like that. They didn't know about other resources to do so as well.
Right.
So like I saw them not having a lot and I was like, man, like I never want to be in a position where I don't feel where I feel disempowered to help people I care about. So that was another thing that kind of growing up in that environment really it taught me or it really instilled in me this drive for more
Mhm.
for myself, but also for the people around me as well too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's beautiful because not everybody that comes from that environment responds to that in that type of way.
Yeah.
That, and I don't want to relate, to like my siblings or anything, but you can literally have one sibling that that sees what's happening in the home
Mhm.
and does do what you did,
Yeah.
and then the other one could do the exact opposite. But oh, this is just my life. Let me just go ahead conform to these environments.
Facts.
So kudos to you to realize that this ain't normal,
Yeah, yeah.
and let's do better this time around.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I appreciate that.
yeah. So losing your father in your early 20s,
Mhm.
that was a turning point for you.
Mhm.
Um, what changed internally after that loss?
So leading up to losing my father, he was getting pretty sick. So he had bipolar growing up. And he never really took care of his like health at all. So um when he got to his, I'd say like late 40s, early 50s, like it was like going downhill. So it was something I like, kind of you never really expect, you never really see it coming, but it was something that like I saw like, wow, like he's not, doing well. And I remember, when we heard that he had gotten his diagnosis, I even knowing things were not going well, like I was still just like blown away. Like it was a terminal, like he was stage 4 cancer terminal diagnosis, like
Yeah,
from the get-go. So like from that point, like it was like we went from like, hey, like you're not doing well, and I'm like going to see him like, when I can to live. Oh wow, we realize you only have a couple more months to live.
right. Yeah,
So it was like it really flipped the switch for me like really quick. And it at first it was like it was difficult and I didn't actually get to the point of healing from my father passing away till a year after he passed away. Um, but it was so difficult because I did have like a hard relationship with him growing up because he had bipolar. Like the environment we had, he was always like arguing with my mom. Like I remember cops would come over our house and break up fights between my mom and him constantly. And then like, the next day he'd be like a kind of a different person. Yeah. And he'll be like, now he's like, like wants to take me out to like dinner. They like nothing. Yeah. So exactly. So like it was really and that type of dichotomy for anyone
Then I'll mess you
was
up.
difficult. Yeah, especially as a child. So like it was like I had this really tough like relationship with him. I loved him at his core, but then there was just like this also anger, for him as well too. So um, I remember when he had gotten his diagnosis, I also started to like, work in the area or I'd started learning about finance. I started to like pick up like all these things also that he did not do as well. Um, he unfortunately had not like, done any type of investing, gotten any type of life insurance, done any of his estate planning, like, none of that stuff was, like, done as well too, so, like, I also started to see, wow, like, yeah, he lived this entire life, but he also didn't, like, get his affairs in order.
right.
So, it was, like, again, all these different mixed emotions, I was like, "Man, like, you know, why didn't he do this? Like, gosh, this is difficult." Then he's, like, leaving me, so it's, like, it was really tough to, like, you know I almost had to, like, compartmentalize a lot of my relationship with him to be able to, like, care for him.
Right.
And then, the part of just caring for him, I was like, "Man, like, I hate that he has to go through this, and I can't do anything about it."
Right. Yeah.
So, it really again, that was, like, just adding more fuel to this, like, fire because, like, I was just started as an advisor, like, I was broke, like, I didn't have the ability to, go out, like, what I would have loved to do is fly him to the best doctor and say, "Alright, how can we approach this?" Like, put him in, like, a place where I could change his lifestyle, like, give him the best food, all the things like that, and I was just like, "Man, like, I'm powerless right now to do anything."
Well.
So, seeing anyone go through that, or especially someone, you grown up your whole life knowing it was difficult. So it it again, it kind of added more fuel to the fire. Like, I don't think anyone should ever have to go through something like this. Like, yeah, like this is total, yeah, and like, to add on, to the fact that it was emotionally difficult, it also was financially difficult, sure, too. And like, I do believe that when, like, the reality is that we're all gonna get to a point where our health is declining. We're gonna get to a point where, I'm here, our friends not here, like, and that's gonna be emotionally tough. But and that is not something we can necessarily dictate, right? That's up to, God, a higher power when we leave this earth. But the financial aspect, that is something we have control.
Yeah, you have
Yeah, and also,
got access to
right?
insurance companies.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. That should not be a hardship that people have to struggle through. So it's like, it also was just eye opening for me. And like, it really allowed me to gain this perspective earlier on in life, that I feel like most people get. Like in my early 20s, like I was, well, like fast forward a bit, that was this financial company. I had life insurance, I had investments. I was doing all these things because I saw it not done. And I do believe that, like, from our parents, we can learn one of two things. We can either learn what to do or what not to do.
Well, yeah, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's all you know earlier.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
100%.
So I learned what not to do. And it made me obsessive about doing things the opposite, not getting this result. So like, I was trying to run away as fast as I could
Yeah.
from, what unfortunately the life that was lived, what it resulted in for him and for, us as a family. I was trying to run away from that as fast as I could. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes that's the best way of learning, though.
Fact.
Going through all that hardship and saying, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's just the best way of doing it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And kind of going back to, also just like this resilience, like I really, I think life is tough, and that was one of many other experiences that really built up this like resilience in me. Like, you know, when I got to a job and, maybe I'd have to work extra hours, like I wasn't really complaining because I'm like, yo, like,
Yeah.
you know,
That's what I got to do.
yeah, this is what I gotta
It's
do.
just the process to becoming successful.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, I'm glad I went through those type of experiences because it allowed me to gain perspective,
Yeah.
for other challenges in life. Like I see, I'm not to point fingers, but like, some people like they'll complain about, their job situation. They'll complain that or their friend didn't do this, or like, oh man, this bad come up. I'm like, yo, bro, like,
Yeah. Do some slack.
bigger issues. Hit the
Well, yeah, bigger issues for sure. Whereas people starving at eating 24, 48 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
You complaining because you thought they don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. The morsels ran out of the orange coat. So why about it? So
Nah, for sure. I definitely understand that concept. And that's what I was saying earlier. I mean, just remembering that it could be a lot worse, you know. I mean, I grew up, I didn't grow up in Section 8, but, top ramen was a thing for me, you know.
yeah,
And hot dogs and top ramen.
Yeah.
That sometimes I still, matter of fact, I bought some hot dogs the other day.
yeah,
Yeah. And I had some. So, I mean, just, that's just who I am, that's my foundation.
Yeah.
I can't ever forget that.
yeah. It's like it's bringing back memories. I'm sure.
It does, it does. Switching gears here, talking about your career, why financial planning? What made this path feel like a calling instead of just a career?
Absolutely, yeah. So, when I grew up, one thing that I really thank my parents for is, despite their lack that they were able to give me, the one thing they really instilled with me was learning and education. So they would like buy me like anatomy books. Like they would always, like that's why I have this dream of becoming a doctor. And I love learning like complicated things. So, I from an early age, I love being able to like understand like really, kind of difficult concepts and try to see how these things work, see how I can like, put this all together, like solve, a puzzle inherently or in a sense. Um, and then as I, got into like, my teens and 20s, I knew I wanted to do something where I could like have an impact on people. Like I wanted to, I knew I could never be like an IT person, like kind of like sitting behind the computer, like just doing things. I knew I always wanted to be interacting with like people.
Yeah.
I may probably also came from like playing sports as well, like or wanting to like feel like camaraderie, want feel like I'm bringing people up and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, Fast forwarding a bit, to when my father got diagnosed with cancer, around that time, as I alluded to before, like I realized there were so many things he had not done.
Right.
So I'm sitting there in my mind, like, yo, like I've gone through organic chemistry, physics, calculus. I've gone through all these classes. I'm about to apply to medical school. Like, my father, he had 2 master's degrees. He's a smart guy,
Yeah.
but like,
I mean, the apple don't fall too far.
I appreciate that. Oh, and I realized that he had gone through all this schooling as well too, but like he did not clearly he didn't financially do well.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like, we're often told, hey, go to school, go to college, and it's like it's almost like it's portrayed as this like key to unlock the door of this wealth and abundance.
It's not like 1+1.
Yeah,
You gotta pay that. You gotta pay that loan though.
exactly, right?
You gotta acquire a job with this piece of paper that they just gave you to pay off that 100,000,
Yeah.
150,000.
Right? I mean, like when you're a kid and you hear about someone having a PhD and you're my age, you're like, that man's probably
They're rich, yeah.
yeah, right? Yeah, like, but no, that's like, nah, slowly started to realize, like, yo, that's not the reality, right?
Right, right.
So, one, I started to see, again, like, 1+1 again is not adding up to 2 here.
Yeah.
Why are all these people, not doing as well as like, we're portrayed for them to be doing,
Well,
and, I started to see like, yo, like he got through all this schooling and he can learn anything about finances. So clearly, like, there's something that's missing in like this equation, right? So like that is what kind of got me on a path of like wanting to learn because like I mean one we had to like set up a estate plan document for we had to get a will we had to get medical directors powers of attorneys all this stuff right
sure.
we realized okay there's no insurance here so there's nothing that's gonna go to my mom right there's no investments here there's no like save like there's just nothing like social security checks that was about it right so I'm like dang like there's really not much here so why did this all happen
Right.
like, did he, wasn't that he wasn't educated enough. If there was something he wasn't doing the right things with his money. So I like start to uncover all this stuff about like, learning about estate planning, various types of insurances, investing from the need of like trying to see what he did not or did not have, right? And realizing that there was again like nothing there.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, like I'm learning about all this stuff. This is pretty important stuff for people to know about, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And why is it that so many people in the Black community, especially, are simply just taught to work hard? Because I remember like my dad like was
Yeah, yeah.
always working.
Mhm.
Like when we'd hang out, we'd usually be hanging out. He'd be working. Yeah. That's like you bring me to work. So I'm like, dang, like we're taught to like work hard, but then there's all these different like financial tools out there, different types of like, strategies, whether it be like, how to like reduce your taxes, like all these different things. I'm like, I don't know anything about this. And this is like, I don't think he did either. This is probably the reason why he got this result. So again, out of this need, like I started to learn about it and going back to like, I like being a teacher. Like I love teaching people about this as well too. So I was telling everybody, I was like, yo, you got to start investing early. Like you're going to have so much more. Like the dollar you put away in your 20s is so much different than the dollar you put away in your 40s and 50s. Like, get insurance when you're younger because they're a lot less expensive. Always just free, right?
Freezer.
Yeah. And so I remember I had a friend and she came up to me. She was like, yo, like, you should go, like, oh, my financial advisor talks to me and all that stuff. You should go see him. I'm like, what is that? Financial, like, it didn't come to my heart house.
Yeah.
No financial advisors visit Section 8 housing unless it's to, get eviction or something. See, I'll be stuff like that. Yeah, right? Yeah. So we didn't have, I didn't know about financial advisors. So I went to go see him and I sat down with him. Then I realized like, yo, this is a career for people. Like how we deal with these things. So, at this time I was about to go to medical school. It was actually specifically pharmaceutical school. And
I said that's not a bad profession to get into though.
no, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, becoming a pharmacist is not. Yeah, so like I was giving up a lot to
That's what I'm getting.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, to like go out and do this thing that I was learning about, but I didn't really know if I could be good at it yet, right?
Right. Yeah.
So like I did step out a lot of faith, but yeah, I like for me growing up in section housing, becoming a pharmacist, like uh, that is pretty successful.
That's a win. That's a win.
Yeah, that's a win, right?
He's win.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know what I was thinking. No, I'm so glad I made that.
Cause they getting better. You was thinking above your means.
Exactly. Yeah, I was thinking of so I was like, man, this is something I truly feel called in. I could truly help people in.
Yeah.
And this is also something like, don't get me wrong, I make just as much pharmacists. Like I'm not worried about
Yeah. Yeah. I have a similar story to this. So do you know Manny Winston?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, the multi-billionaire guy. What's up, Manny? So he went to Hermitage High School. He's from around this area. He played basketball against me, and we've been cool ever since high school. What have you? So he's an Amway guy. He actually is very successful at the type thing. And so I was on his team. I believe it was Darren Brothers who played at the University of Richmond. He was above me. I was on Darren Brothers' team, and then I was on Amway. Is what I'm saying.
Well,
And now the guy that I brought on that was under me, his JB from he also went to University of Richmond, and he makes a good amount of money going that now. If I had just stayed on, that I left because of the old Freeman situation, but it's very similar because I switched professions and I still did well at whatever I was doing. You get what I'm saying? So that's the same thing that sounds to me like happened to you.
absolutely. And winners gonna win.
Yeah, what is going?
Yeah. So it doesn't matter like where you would have put me. I would have won. So like with that though, I decided that hey, this is an area though that I have a lot more connection to, and I feel like it'll make a much bigger impact in. And also create my own vision of it as well too. Like when I got into working in a hospital and doing that, you realize you know unfortunately because of all the bureaucracy and all the it's various medical systems very institutionalized, like you don't really have as much of ability to help as you truly want to. And for me,
Right.
like I realize that like yes, I want to be able to make a lot of money, but I also feel connected to the work I do, and I have to feel like I'm really helping people because
Yeah.
if I don't, then I'm just gonna lose motivation at some point. Like I'm gonna like really lose like that drive if I'm just like, and there are people that feel very strong towards, pharmacy and like that. But I was like, I can't really be satisfied if I'm just in a place filling up a bottle and that type of thing. Yeah, that's not gonna really speak to my higher calling of myself. So yeah, I saw this as a career that one I could, it could give me purpose. It could give me the financial freedom I wanted, but also could really help me, be in this role of like teacher and guide that I realize that I get so much fulfillment out of
Yeah.
helping someone else, I kind of realize, hey, what is possible for their life? Helping someone else, accomplish the things that are most important to them as well too. So,
Yeah.
like I really feel truly blessed to have found something that I do enjoy doing. I enjoy pursuing, but also gives me financial freedom as well too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like that purpose thing, because it's not just about making money.
Yeah.
Real talk is about purpose, and
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I open up RTHS because it's to help people, but it's the purpose behind it. It's the less fortunate people who, like you said, your parents had mental health disabilities. They didn't have the resources or um were given the resources to go find help. And so that's one of the things that we do is to make sure that they, somebody calls into the office, they, we vet them and stuff like that, that they don't meet our criteria, we still are going to place them somewhere else to help them out.
Yeah.
So that's very important. But that purpose piece, that's what makes you keep going every day.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm so glad you add that because I have found that, if your end goal is, a number, right? Or it's just like, money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, one, like, there's really like no like true meaning behind that. So like
Right.
when things do really get tough, and they will, right? For anyone, like you're gonna go through tough times in life. It's all relative, right?
Yeah, it's called, yeah.
At some point, it's gonna be tough, right? Like it gets really hard to like continue to push forward if that drive and reason doesn't have any like true tie to like how you find meaning,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And then additionally, I see that for people that it's very interesting, being so involved in, hundreds of people's financial lives, right? Because I see like the patterns of like, it's like in, basketball, right? You could like, look at a player and like maybe see them play for like a few minutes and kind of figure out like what type of player this is, what skills they have, maybe even down to like the obviously like, what position they're in, like where their strengths lie, where their weaknesses lie. But you also start to see like you see enough players throughout time. It's someone like you getting to level you have. You've seen players, thousands of different basketball players, you start to see patterns,
Yeah.
between, you might see like, okay, like this is a bigger guy. And like, what I know about bigger guys is that they will drive into like the center. And like, this guy looks like he shoots with like his right hand. This bigger guy probably hasn't worked on his left hand at all. Like, yeah, you just start to see all these patterns. So like, what I've seen like patterns in people financially is like, they don't have a purpose behind what they do. Like they get to a place where they feel content and they just stop. They stop growing. But when someone has purpose, like they continue, like it gives them life. It's like, one of he's a great friend of mine, a mentor to me. He's in his 70s. Like the guy is worth 35 million, but he still, grinds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not because he needs to, because like he finds purpose in the work that he does.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's not even just the owner, it's also the employees, right? Because, uh, and I've heard my employees say this, I like to, I like working here because I can help somebody, so even if not just me, myself has the purpose, but everybody in the organization has a purpose.
Yeah.
That's when you're really gonna, take off that bit there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, last thing I'll say on that too, because I really do believe purpose is so valuable. Like, I believe it gives people life, right? Like, you you see, you can kind of tell how much vitality someone has when you look at them, right?
Yeah.
Are they someone that like is excited about like, what they're doing? Do they approach things with like this kind of like, energetic, like, gusto? And like you can always tie that back to purpose and how like someone feels.
That how invested they are.
Yeah. You see people that walk around like, damn, like, bro, like, you good?
Yeah.
You
Red Door.
so like that man needs purpose.
But yeah, nah, for sure. I mean, I just get excited. I get excited every day, to be honest with you, when it comes to business and
Yeah.
the type of services that we provide, because I know for one that we're helping people, but also, um, like you said earlier, I'm able to reach somebody. Even if it's, you know, they came into our services, they didn't brush their teeth, and then by the time they left, down there brushing their teeth,
Yeah.
and if we able to even do that, I'm happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe like, don't get me wrong, like we all want to make money, right? That's important. But that is the effect of helping someone out.
Correct.
Right? When you make money, when you've added value, when you've changed, when you've impacted something. So,
Exactly.
and I've had people ask me like, what's the fast way to make money? Like, find some problem to solve. Find someone to help.
That's all you gotta do. That's easy. Yeah. It's that easy. So, what did you learn advising young families and high income earners at a Fortune 20 company that changed how you approach clients today?
Uh, so the couple things that I picked up when I was working at that company that I'm so grateful I had the experience I have was one, just like, getting an idea of like really what planning look like for people. Like, when I sit down and I approach someone as a financial advisor. Um, and they're different. There are a lot of people that call themselves financial advisors out there, but there's a lot of people that are just like, they simply just focus on insurance, or they simply
I go side. I bet a couple.
yeah.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah, there's a big difference,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
They kind of have their thing that they do,
Mhm.
and like they're not really like asking questions. They're not really like trying to figure out, okay, where is this person at? What do they need?
Correct.
How can I help them? They bring something to me. How can I accomplish what
Yeah.
they need?
Yeah.
They're more so like, how can I fit this into?
Yeah.
You
How
know?
can I sell you this?
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. And don't get me wrong, like it's generally better than doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna if it's a choice between you putting your money into savings versus you have some Roth IRA or so, or you have a thing. Even if it should have been different, it's better than you doing nothing. But still, it's not a approach of a professional.
Correct.
Like a professional will again sit down and
Yeah.
help you solve
Yeah.
things that you need to be solved.
Correct.
Right. So I really appreciate the approach. They give you this very yeah, I got a very holistic approach of like how to really like serve people, and when I decided to go out and build my business, like I was able to operate and then even improve upon that framework and extend what I do to not just you know, guiding people on like insurance and investments, but also helping them off business as well too.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my clients will come to me and they'll be like, all right, um, I just started this business. How should I operate my cash flow? I'm like, all right, you want to have multiple accounts. You want to have like a tax account. You want to have like a revenue account. You want to, So I really am able to operate and help people out more holistically because of some of the foundations I got off in that company. Um, Additionally, like I'm the type of person where like I'm a big vision thinker. I'm not very in the details. You know, I'm not very in the
Yeah.
details.
I'm black and white.
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to do this, or we go or not?
Exactly. Right? Yeah. So like that company, and there was some resistance that I knew while I was there, but like they were really into the details. They were really into numbers. So I'm like, wow, like this is valuable. This is how you run like a business. And this influenced like how I approach things out. Like I'm measuring things. I'm like, tracking things. So I don't think I would have done all that if it wasn't, for that experience that I had there. And uh I'd say the last big thing that had an impact on me, it gave me a grander idea of what I believe to be possible. Because that was like, the largest insurance company, one of the fourth largest brokers in the world. So like, I'm seeing people that are like Forbes list advisors. I'm seeing people that do have, 8, 9 figure practices. And I'm like, yo, like, yeah, this is, and, they're like, wow, like you're doing pretty well for it. I'm like, wow, like this is kind of giving me, a vision towards, what I believe is possible. So really, it set a high ceiling.
Speaking on your business, tell me more about that. What's the name of your business? Where you at? What's going on with that?
Yeah, currently right now, the name of my business is Zion Capital Management. I say currently because I may be gonna do some rebranding. Let's see.
Yeah.
Zion Capital Management. So I'm located in Richmond, Virginia. I operate off 303 West Broad Street, and I operate mainly. I'd say around 60% of my clients are actually virtual. I have clients in about 22 different states around the U.S. And we focus on comprehensive planning. So we sit down with our clients, we help them create plans, we help them understand, what they're trying to accomplish and help them see what ways we can add value. See what ways we can help, get things done for people. So right now I am in the midst of actually, growing my team. I recently put out some job ads. So I'm looking to hire on some people. The goal is, top practice in the country, Forbes list. So
Yeah.
eventually hiring on other advisors, other partners to the firm, and continue to just grow. And, you know, in my mind, I envision something that's different than what most people think of when they go to their, you know, big box institution.
Yeah.
It's a more comprehensive vision. So like, offering like CPA services, offering
Yeah.
attorney services as well too.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I'm sure your listeners may have heard about like Black Wall Street in the past. Like I really kind of envision like this, like I think the one thing that is really been there's not many black professionals in the areas of finance, accounting, real estate. That's reality. Right. There just are many. So, really creating this, organization of being able to provide these services for people, but doing it at a level of just excellence,
Yeah.
a very high, like boutique, like, hey, like, you know, come into our office. Like, we're going to be able to answer questions for you. We're going to be able to introduce you to other professionals. Like, we can help you, accomplish X, Y, and Z, and really focusing on, again, just the people that we serve, like, and never forgetting that. Like, that's the last thing I'll say about that is so important with the organization I'm building. But I think a lot of this, I'm not gonna lie, it frustrates me. Um, but a lot of times, large organizations, forget about what got them there. That's focusing on the people they serve.
Correct.
Like, when you start getting told it's bureaucratic, BS, and like treat people like a number, like, yeah, I mean, like, they get so big they can afford to do it, but like that was not how you
No.
run a business.
For sure.
Like, real talk.
I think for me, that's a quick way to get, to lose business.
Yeah.
And we kind of function off of that.
Uh-huh.
All of the clients that we have either met me or talked to me on the phone for at least 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That having that personable relationship with, not just with clients, but with employees.
Mhm.
My motto when people come to work for RTHS is that we are all the same.
Yeah.
I'm the CEO of the company. I'm the owner of the company, right? But all right, what is that? Without y'all, I'm nothing.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Yeah.
I always keep that mindset, and even with the clients, like I said, I try to make sure that all of the clients have seen my face or have heard my voice, and that's what keep clients coming on that type of mindset. Because I mean, I'm a human being just like them,
Yeah.
at the end of the day. So, but you said something about, um, you know, being a black business owner. So shout out to both of us for that. But this month is Black History.
Yeah.
So
Facts.
shout out to all my black people out there, and everybody, to be honest with you, because it's for real. Black History is about equality,
Yeah. That.
and it's not just about us. It's about everybody being equal. And, but one thing I've always shed light on is, because people like to walk around. I don't want to get too deep into Black History Month, but people like to walk around as if slavery didn't happen, and it did.
Yeah. Facts. Yeah. Yeah. Facts.
Did without the people who went through certain things, us as business owners wouldn't be able to be today.
No.
Switching gears here. All right. Talk to me about like your yoga experience. How does yoga balance the intensity of, I know you done powerlifting and
Mhm.
stuff before too. So talk about your yoga experience.
Yeah, so I'd say yoga for me, in a very similar way of like what meditation. I have a meditation practice as well too. Has brought me is playing a lot of sports and always kind of like playing a lot of sports where you're exerting a lot. You're always like in this like go 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 mode. So you're always like, all right, next thing. You're like, let me accomplish the next thing. Is like, let me push hard. Let me like get to like this next goal. And that is really valuable energy and important energy to have, right? We have to be able to like push ourselves to the next thing, have ambition, have, grit, have, just build strength by knowing that like not just like physically, but like mental strength um and that allows us to push ourselves in many ways. Um Yoga for me, when I think about the value that yoga adds, it allows me to, you know when to let the car idle. In a sense, for a second.
I'm picking up what you
Let the car idle for a second. Now there are times like, whether it be like, where you're getting, warmed up or you may be in between a race where like, hey, you just wanna like let your car like idle for a bit. Don't want necessarily be pushed on the gas, just sit there. And so that has, it allows me to like be like, okay, like when am I like going too far of this direction and how can I pull myself back?
Yeah.
Like how can I like, because I think, you know, when it comes down to life, like the biggest thing that's oftentimes in our way is ourselves, right?
Correct. 100%.
The whole time. And if we are just constantly just like, we have a certain mindset, but we keep like, you know, think like, let's say it's like your relationship and like, man, like bad things keep happening in this relationship. Like, it's always this person who does this. It's always this person does this. Like, why is it that everyone is always doing these things and messing up the relationship I have with them, right? So like, if I never take a step back and see like, oh wait, like I'm the one common denominator in all this. Yeah, maybe.
Me. You need to look inward.
Exactly. I might see something that I'll see it. So it allows me to like kind of have that inward look, like be more present and see, hey, like when am I like getting in my own way? When am I, doing something that is not actually, moving the needle? And also like when do I need to like just take time for like my body? Because, we were talking a little bit about sports about this, like great athletes, like you gotta be constantly like, treating your body like you want it to perform at a very high level. So I realized like, like I need to also have recovery just as much as I need to have strength
Cool.
as well too. So that allowed me to again, like, do it for myself because I think being an athlete and moving my body, and that's something that was really foundational for me, but it's also how I look at life in many different ways. So it allowed me to see, okay, like, yes, pushing myself constantly is what enabled me to get the record, but if I'm not having those recovery days, like, I have been injured all
You
the
gonna
time.
burn out or something.
Burn out. Yeah, yeah. So yoga really allowed me to kind of see that, like, balance, not just physically, but also in my career and life as well, too. Like, allowing me to know when to, like, take a step back and recover, but also switch gears if I'm pushing too much in a certain direction that's not helpful. In the
No, yeah, for sure. Uh, I mean, that's 100%. I feel like everybody should do yoga as far as I'm concerned, or some type of something to pull you back in.
Yeah.
Because, like Claire right now, for example, I talked about it in her episode, but she's currently working towards getting her yoga instructor license. And so, she has class 3 or 4 times per week and stuff like that. So she's in that grind mode that we were talking about. But I took a class with her the other day. And look at sir. And it's a different type of, strength that you got to have, different type of breathing.
Yeah.
This was my first time. I used to do yoga in college for basketball. And then I used to work at a place called EDC where one of the teachers that was there, or maybe she wasn't a teacher. She was some type of employee there. And long story short, she used to teach a class. So that was back in like maybe 2017 and or yeah, 2017, 2018. And so taking her class, like you said, we're always on the go, chasing around chasing these kids, these badass kids around the building. So guess what we gonna do after we do this all day? We gonna say woosha. We gonna do some yoga. So, but that's very important to do that, especially when you run your own business, run your own practice.
Yeah.
Working hard and stuff like that. You gotta step back and just chill for a second. Yeah, it's very important.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's always the hardest thing for me to do, like, I'm in my mind, I'm always like, "Yo, like, if I'm not working, I'm not growing, right? Being productive." So, like, I'm always constantly like, "Man, I need to work and grow," but then, like, when I take that time to do, 30-minute hour yoga, session, or I take time to do, like, a 10, 20-minute, meditation session, I'm like, I really needed that just to like ground myself for a second. It allows me to perform better. It's such a weird like thing. I've it's a lesson that like I have to go through almost every single day. Just realizing like the answer isn't always more work.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. For most people, it is.
So well,
For most people, it is.
this is what you say.
Yeah. But like, I'm talking like, when you're really like, the answer isn't always more work if you're like, you're already working, 10, 12 hours a day. That's the answer sometimes is like, like, how can I, work smarter? How can I take a step back and think about how to approach this differently?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gym is my yoga.
Yeah.
So I could be in the gym crazy, but It's just to me, this all relates to what we would call in the mental health field is a positive coping skill. You know, that's what I would call that. And you know, in order to continue to go, you got to do this step back to understand that process. So very important, you guys.
Facts.
So we're gonna wrap up here. Talking about cycling. I want to dive into that.
Yeah.
Tell me about that experience. Cycling 600 miles across Australia. It's not normal.
Yeah. Facts.
So, what pushed you to do it, and what did it reveal about you?
Yeah. So, um, I honestly I have crazy ideas or get crazy opportunities sometimes. I just take them, you know, to be honest. But so how this came about is I had a friend that I ran track with back in high school. And so like, he'd been like keeping up for me on like social media as he saw like, I was training, I was doing all these things. So he had hit me up and he was like, hey, like, I see you like biking a lot. Like I'm thinking about doing this trip in Australia. And this was maybe in like August of 2023 is when I believe we did that trip. And um I at the time I was like, he's like, yeah, we go. I'm thinking about November getting this done. He hit me up like 3 months before.
I thought you need more notes.
You do. You do. Any normal person would, right? A normal person would.
But look, you don't got to get ready.
Yeah, exactly. I fortunately I was ready. Yeah, fortunately I'd already been like cycling like every single day. So I was in, good enough shape to get this done. But still, you want a little more time to prepare.
No,
Yeah.
for sure.
But yeah, he had mentioned, yeah, he's gonna do this. So I was like, man, like I think I might have thought on it for like a week or two, and I was like, man, this is an opportunity that may not come again in my lifetime
Yeah.
to do. And I do believe that when it comes to life, like it's about, of course, taking opportunities. Like, you're not gonna get anywhere in life by saying no.
Yeah, staying the same.
Yeah, and I do believe, yes, you get to a certain place, you want to learn how to say no, but like, especially early on in life, like say yes more than you say no. Like take more advantage of things that, yeah, take risks, like do more things than you would have done. Um, and so when the opportunity came up, he's just like, yeah, like, and I took a couple weeks to think about it. I was like, all right, let's do this. Let's get it done, right?
Yeah.
So, we go into like, sixth gear immediately, doing all this planning, or I was doing all the planning.
And like Kobe just playing everything in the room.
So it's on it all.
And then it's the financing.
Yeah,
Everything.
trying to get everything ready, all situated, everything, and we get there. It was awesome. I mean, it was amazing. So we got to Australia. I mean, we get there in Brisbane and like we sleep for a day, but then we just immediately started the road biking. And you know, it. I had never done something that was that extensively long for like physically challenging because we did 60 miles a day for about 10 days.
That's tough. That's
Yeah.
you like the monks.
Yeah. So we was going.
Yeah.
Yeah, we was going. And I'm like, and that is, doing 60 miles in one day, like if you're not in good shape is not easy. Doing it for 10 days straight. Like, I wasn't an endurance athlete. So there are things I didn't realize about like, oh man, like I need to like increase my electrolyte though intake to like keep from getting like cramps and things like that. That's something I learned. I realized like, man, like yo, like yes, my body recovers fast, but like after like 3-4 days, like I'm still like
Yeah.
like just
Deprived.
of energy, of resources. So I like, I really like towards the last couple days was all mental, like, but I also realized like what I was capable of doing if I was willing to push myself because, I mean, again, just how it was planned out, right? Like the man, like we didn't have much time to waste.
Hey yo, you want to go do a marathon? Yeah, we going tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly, right?
What?
Yeah, we didn't have much time to waste too. Like, and like cause he like told us the dates and everything like that. So like we're thinking like, okay, we're gonna, we kind of relied on him to make sure this is all structured properly.
Right.
And I feel like we get there, we figuring out where else to take. And I'm like, man, I'm like 10 days from now, our flight's leaving back to the U.S. So like, they're fine. Someday we gotta get to Sydney, right? So yeah, I think it was really cool because it was almost like start a business, right? Like you gotta have an idea where you're at, kind of have an idea where you want to go, but you don't really know all the obstacles that are gonna happen. All the you gotta learn along the way. So it was a lot of learning around the way, but it was great too because and I think this is one of the best things that you can do, in business and in life. But when I think about us getting to the end, it was because we didn't have a plan B, right? It was like, hey, like
Ooh, that's
we,
tough. I like that.
like there's no other option but to get there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
You know,
It's either that or we out back.
yeah, exactly, right? The plane ain't coming to the middle of Australia, please. So you got to be at the airport at this time, right? We didn't have a plan B, right? So it's like we bike across there and get there. Like you're gonna figure that out. So like I think it's really great to be able to see that. Like for every person, like when you don't give yourself a plan B, you realize how powerful you are, like how capable you are. Like you will figure it out
Yeah, yeah,
if you really need to,
yeah.
right?
No ifs, ands, buts about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So like it allowed us to like, it was really cool because I mean instill this like, this knowledge of myself. Wow, like, when it comes down to it, like, yeah, like, present me with a challenge and I'm gonna overcome it. So it was, I mean, really awesome from that standpoint. Of course, like I also realized how important not just playing for myself is, but playing for others or as well too. Hey, this man we did 600 miles, he did not bring a spare energy. I was the only one with spare energy and a spare tire, and I'm like, yo. So by not giving myself that way out, it allowed me to, see what I was capable of. Then also in hindsight again and realize like, yo, like the more preparation you do to try to mitigate things from happening is valuable. Now we couldn't have sat there on day one and said, hey, does everyone have a gear? No, we had to just start going. Um, well, when you have that ability to say, all right, like maybe let me think a little bit into the future, as a good steward would and be like, yeah, I'm gonna bike all this way. I probably will get a flat tire at some point.
Yeah.
Probably good for me to have some of it too. Ensure, it doesn't happen. Yeah.
Sound like what I do for work.
Yeah, exactly. Right? No, yeah, risk mitigation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I really, I look at that experience as like it was a kind of a short, good lesson for like life and business in a sense.
Yeah.
But also it was awesome.
We
Man.
experienced
Yeah, it was very
you could say you did that.
yeah.
Not too many people could say that.
Exactly, right? Got to go to Australia. Unfortunately, we didn't see any kangaroos or koalas, but did see a crazy ass snake. It was, yeah, like,
I was like,
Lord, I don't even know. I mean, I'm not looking at it and trying to figure it out. I saw that snake. Uh, but no, it was a very cool experience. Like nothing I've ever, the only other thing I could probably compare it to is I went to the Amazon.
yeah,
Wow.
that was pretty dope.
Did last year.
Yeah.
That was really dope.
Yeah, I remember you took that trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dope. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an adventurer. It was dope.
Yeah. The whole travel piece. It's very important to travel too because that's kind of like doing the yoga part.
Yeah.
You get to see other ethnicities, other countries move a different way. And it's almost like whenever I go overseas or go somewhere, it's like, why is America like that? They have it, I mean, we have it nice over here, but everything is so much smoother and easier going when it comes to like, you know, getting fresh food.
Yeah.
The necessities don't cost crazy amounts of money.
Yeah.
Grapes are what they should be costing, that type of thing. But not to go down that rabbit hole, but definitely love travel. Last thing I want to ask you here before I let you go, what's one untold truth? You may have already said what you wanted to say about this, but what's one untold truth you would like the viewers to know? It could be about something personally about you. It could be about finance. Shedding light on certain things you should be doing by the time you're 30, like having a Roth IRA. Whatever the case may be. What's one untold truth you want to share with the viewers?
One untold truth that I do very strongly believe in is when it comes to, finance and business, I think something that people always forget to realize is that anything you do involves people.
Mhm.
Like, if you want to go out there and start a business, you're going to have to involve people.
Right.
If you want to go out there and have a relationship, you're going to, it's going to come down to people. If you're going to want to really, kind of accomplish anything in life, at some point, it's going to involve,
Yeah, somebody else.
and, you know, this may not be everyone's truth, but it is my truth. And I do believe relationships are the most important thing in life. Seeing people as a means, not an end,
Mm-hmm.
it can be very detrimental to your, overall just life satisfaction.
But yeah, thanks for coming through today. Appreciate you coming. That was fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you for having me on. This is absolutely awesome. Again, it's really cool to be able to see the dream and vision become reality.
For sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
awesome time, man.
For sure. Kofi Thompson, y'all. Thanks for coming today. Appreciate you. All right, so next time. I'll be talking to you sooner than later.
Let's go.
My bad.
Later.